All right, this lesson is on the pen tool. To get started, a couple of things that I have open right now is this layers palette here. To access that, you'd go to Windows, Layers, okay? And you'll notice that you have one that's the items. These are these items here that I've locked. And then I have this on another layer. You guys have not learned about layers yet, but you will do so next week. So there's going to be a little bit more to this, but for right now, I'm just going to focus on talking to you guys about the pen tool, okay? In order to teach you guys the pen tool, I felt that it's easier to show you as you trace over items. So that's why I'm using these items. So you won't be drawing freehand because it seems like it's a little harder to control the pen tool when that happens. So I'm going to try to teach you this way. Okay. The pen tool is this tool right here. Now this may look very similar like the curvature tool that's below, but this one is the pen tool. We want to focus on this one, not the other one. We will be covering the curvature tool and also the pencil tool this week. If you decide at some point to use those tools to trace your final project once that time comes, you will need to apply the same concept of using closed shapes, which we're going to talk about quite a bit in this lesson, okay? But this lesson is on the pen tool. So let's keep going forward. Now to get started with using the pen tool, we're going to go ahead and click on the pen tool. And now that I've selected my pen tool, I'm going to go ahead and for my fill color, I'm going to set it to no fill, which it's already set to. And for my outline color, I'm going to set it, instead of black, I'm going to set it to something that will actually show up. So I'm going to go ahead and make it say red or something. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK so that I can trace around and I can see it. Okay, so now there's different ways that you can use this pen tool, but one of the main different ways that you can use a pen tool is to either create straight lines or curved lines. So for this example here, we're going to talk about straight lines, okay? And then the other thing that we're going to focus on, so you want to pay really close attention to this, is this idea of closing shapes. When we draw in Illustrator, we always need to close shapes. So we're going to focus right now on drawing straight lines and closing shapes with the pen tool, okay? So we're going to go ahead and focus in on this here. To get started, what I would do is I would go to one of the corners and I'd click once. And that's going to give me my first anchor point. Now if I move along, I'm going to go find, you notice there's a preview of what the line's going to look like. If I go like this, it's going to follow that red line. I'm going to go here, and then at that corner, I'm going to click again. And that creates a straight line from the first point to the second point. Now if I go down here, I go and I find where I'm going to put my next point, I go here. Now, when a lot of people are drawing and are used to drawing with the pencil, they just click here and then they think, oh, I'm done, I can start another different line. That's not the way we work. When we look at drawings and we start drawing in this program, we want to look at things as solid shapes. So I'm going to look at the top of this table as one solid shape here, and I'm going to go to this corner, okay, and I'm not going to let go. See, it still wants to continue. What I want to do is I want to go back to the original point here and close it. And you see that little circle right next to my pen tool? That means that I'm closing the shape. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And that's very important. Now, if I went to try to draw something else, I could start a new path. What I created here was a straight line path. This whole thing is a path, okay? And it's a closed shape path because I made it that way, okay? So basically for drawing straight lines, you just, I'm going to do it over here, click, 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 click. But you don't ever leave things open. You always try to find a way to close it back up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete this with my delete key. Hit it again. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and continue. Again, we're going to be keeping in mind this idea of just clicking and moving away and clicking again on the corners to create straight lines, and also this idea of shapes. Okay, so I'm going to click here. Then I'm going to click away. I'm going to come around over this way. And then I'm going to come down. I'm not too concerned if I'm not right on the line. I can always move these. I'm going to go around and then going there, waiting for that circle indicator, clicking on it, and making sure it's a closed shape. Now, like for these things here, I noticed I didn't just draw a line and draw a separate line and draw a separate line with, say, a line tool or one of these other tools I might have here. I went around and I saw this as a full shape. Okay? And I'll explain that reason why we want full shapes in just a sec. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw this other lip, this little edge here, and I'm going to go click, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click this way, and then I'm going to click this way, and I'm going to click and find that little circle, and I'm going to click there, and now it's a closed shape. Okay? And I'm going to do this for all these different areas. I'm not going to see things just as lines. I'm going to see them as big areas, like if they were made out of wood or something, okay? So now I'm going to say, click there, click here, click here, click here, and then make sure it's closed there, okay? So I'm going to go here, 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 and then come down. It's there, okay? So we do that for all of these areas. For here, it would be click here. I don't care if it's off. I can always arrange it. I'm going to go up here. And then I'm going to see this instead of one whole big leg with the line through it. I'm going to see this as a shape here. And then here. And then I'm going to see this as a different shape. I don't like to start clicking here because sometimes you can accidentally remove points. See how you get that little minus sign right next to the pen tool? So I like to start somewhere where there's not a point. Click here. Click here. Click here, come back down, and then around. Wait for that closed circle indicator and close it. I'm just going to do the same thing for these. I could start up here, but sometimes I'll accidentally remove or join it to something else, so I like to start down here. And it's going here. And I don't care if I'm right on the edge. I can even do an overlap. It doesn't matter. Okay? So I'm just going to go here, here, here. I'm just clicking and moving away and finding a new point, and that's closed. And then we're going to go here, click, move away, click, away, click, away, click, and then down here. Okay? And I'm going to do the same for this. Click, move away. I don't care if it's going to overlap. I'll explain why later as well. Click, move away. Same with this one. Click, 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 and then down. Click. Okay, one more. Start there, start another one. So each one of these is closed paths, okay? You notice I didn't just draw lines with it, okay? So these are all closed shapes. They're not lines. Notice I'm not drawing things just as single lines and then walking away and coming back. So I don't want you using this line tool. I want you guys to be using this pen tool. Don't worry if things aren't perfect because I'm going to show you modifier tools, okay? So to modify this path, you would use this white arrow. This is a white direct selection arrow. It's different than the black arrow. The black arrow moves an entire piece, the entire piece. The white arrow allows you to control different parts of this path, okay, from the points to the actual edge of the line. So let's say here that it's not perfect. If I go and I go right to that corner, you see that little square right next to it means I'm on that corner. This one here, I'm clicking, hold it down, I can move it up. Okay, this one that's right here, I'm clicking, hold it down, I can move it over. This one here, I'm clicking, hold it down, and I can move it over. Okay, so you can always control these a little more than what you initially got. Okay, so if the angle isn't quite right, even in some of these, you can move it and you can adjust it. Okay. You can grab the entire line and move it and adjust it as well. Okay. So this original one here was a little bit too low. I'm moving it back up. Okay, this one's a little too much to that way, so I'm moving it over this way. Okay. So you can make adjustments. That's this direct selection arrow. It allows you to grab the points or to grab the entire line. See how I'm moving the entire line? I can do that as well. All right, I'll leave it alone. All right, so those are straight lines. It's basically click, move away, click, move away, click, move away, and it will create that path, and you want to concentrate on doing closed shapes. Okay? All right, now for curved lines, that's a little more tricky, and this is where the pen tool can be a bit of a hassle for people. Okay, so I'm going to go to the pen tool. The way the pen tool works is basically if you click once, it makes a straight, hard point. So if I click here, it'll make a straight, hard point. When I move away, if I'm just see how the line is straight, if I just click, it's going to make a straight point, but I don't want a straight point. I need a curve here. So to get that curve, I usually go to the top of like the hill. Okay, so anywhere where a shape changes direction, okay? People say for something like this, where do I know how to put the point? There's no corner. Well, think about if you were building this with toothpicks. You might put a toothpick there, and then a toothpick here going this way, and then a toothpick that way. So basically wherever the direction changes. So for instance here, it's going up and to the right and then at this point here, it starts going right but down. It starts going this way. So I would put a point there. But if I just put a point there and I click on it and I release it, it's going to give me a straight line. I need a curved line, so I'm going to go click, and I'm holding it down, and I'm dragging. Now you notice you get these little weird handles. See how this is weird? They're kind of like rubber banded. What I want to do is I pull until I get that preview line, the little line that's right there, the preview line of what it's going to look like in the place that I want it. I usually don't pull too much because that gives me a weird line. I just go like this, and it shows me where it left it. And that looks about right, so then I release it. And then I move away, and here I'm going to the right and down. And then at this point, it starts going down but left. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to click. I'm going to hold down and drag a little bit, and I can twist and turn it. I'm going to turn it until I get it to the position that I want. And then I'm going to release it when it looks good. And then I'm going to go here, and here it's going up and to the right, and then there's a slight curve here, so I could put a point here if I wanted, or I could go down to the bottom. It's really up to you if you want to maintain that curve. I'm going to maintain the curve, so I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to hold down and drag just a little. There's not a lot that's needed. If I go too much, it goes weird, so I'm just going to drag a little bit like this. It's on the line right there, so it left the line there. Then I'm going to go here. This is a straight point. It's not a curved point. So I'm just going to click once. If I do the click, hold down, and drag, it won't look like that. So I just click once. Okay? And now it's a straight point. And then I go here. And about this point, I want it to curve. So I'm clicking, hold down, and dragging. I got it how I want it. I release. I'm going to go to this other top of this curve right here, because there's a curve right here to the little kind of center point of it. And I'm going to click, hold down, and drag. And I'm going to go to the tops, so it's going up and to the right, and then at this point it starts going right and down, so this is the top of the curve. I'm going to click, and I'm going to pull. And then I'm going to go here, and then I'm just going to click once. Okay? And I don't worry that it's not perfect because I can still use the same tools as I did before, this white modifier arrow, to modify. I could either modify the line directly by doing this, okay? Or I can grab this handle and tweak it this way, or if I want to bring the point down, I can do that as well. Okay, so all of these can be modified, and it's just a matter of practice. Okay, I've given you the fundamentals. It's a matter of just practicing that. But notice I went all the way around, and it's also a closed shape. Okay, and then we're going to go to this apple now. So that's done. Once it's closed, you can move back to the pen tool, and you can start a new one. So I'm going to do the apple, and I just look at everything as a solid shape. I don't care that things overlap. I see it as one big shape. So I'm going to start in here. I'm going to go across here. And then I'm going to go in here. And I'm going to go across. And then I go in here. And I go across. And then basically where the curves start changing, where there's a change in direction, there's a little curve here. I add it there. Curve here, I add it there. I don't worry if it's not perfect. I go there. Here, I go there. You just try not to put them too close together. Okay? And then we just close the shape. So now I can start another one. And what I mean by don't do it too close together, I mean there's people that will try to do a curve, and instead of doing a curve and stepping away and clicking and holding down and dragging to get the curve, what they do is they just go like click, 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 and they're not even holding down and dragging. They're just giving me straight corners, but because they're putting them so close together, they think I won't notice, but I do. So so that you don't have to redo it, just go ahead and like really smooth it out. Okay? Like take your time. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm just clicking my delete key right now, once, twice, okay? And I'm going to start all over. So I'm going to click once because it's a hard point there. It's a corner. And then I'm going to move up, and then I'm going to click, hold down, and drag. And then I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to click, hold down, and drag to get the curve that I want. And then I'm just going to, here it's a hard point, so I would straight click, not just click, hold down, and drag. I just click once. Click. And then I'd move down in here, and then I'd do that, pull a little, go to the bottom of this little hill here, pull a little, coming to the corner. It's a corner, so I just click once. Okay? Now, I'm going to go and do this part here. I'm going to click. It's kind of a corner. Go down, pull a little bit, come down. Go back around, come back. Pull a little bit, and then just click. and close it all up, okay? Now for this little area, it looks like just a line. I don't want anything to just be a line. Everything has to be a closed shape. So this is probably like a shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, hold down, click, hold down, come around, click, hold down, and drag a little bit to get that curve. Click, hold down. I'm going to come back around, and I'm going to create a shape. Okay, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a shape that's filled with color to create the shadow. So no single lines, everything closed shape, okay? All right, so now some more modifier tools. We can go in here and grab the arrow. That's the one where you can kind of tweak things to make them better if they weren't quite right the first time. Okay, so you can move that around, correct it. Well, that didn't work, undo. I'm going to grab this little piece there, move it up, tweak that a little bit. Move that up, tweak that a little bit, okay? Until you get it perfect. You're going to do it better. I'm doing it kind of quickly there, okay? But basically, what other tools do you have that can modify them, okay? So there is, under the pen tool, there is the add point tool. So you can come into any one of these objects and you can add a point. So say that I want to add an extra curve or a bump in here. I can add a point, okay? And then I can grab the arrow, and then that new point I can basically make it to create an extra turn or twist or whatever. So you can add points. If you don't want them, you can remove points. So you can go to the minus tool and you can remove them, okay? And then you can fix the ones that were there before so that they look good. I'm just dragging that back out, okay? There they are. So you can add and remove points, okay? And then there's also the tool. So say in here, there is also the anchor point tool. And basically this anchor point tool, what it allows you to do is it allows you to take a straight point and turn it into a curved point. So if I click on it once and drag, hold down and drag, see how it turned it into a curved point? Well, let's say that I don't want that curved point anymore. I can also just click once right on the corner, and I can turn it into a square point, okay? And another way that you can do it is, instead of with this tool, if you use your white direct selection arrow, click off of it, select the point that you want to curve. You can select that point, for instance, and then at the top here you have these different options. So you have this one, it's convert selected anchor points to smooth, and if you click it once, it'll smooth it out for you, okay? If you want to turn it back, just as long as it's still selected, select it. You can go here and turn it back into a curved point. So basically these options here in conjunction with this white direct selection arrow will do the same thing as this convert anchor point tool that's found within the pen tool down here at the bottom. Okay? Okay. All right, so those are your basic modifier tools. All right. This tool is one of those tools where what you basically have to do is practice it, okay? But as you're practicing and as you're drawing things out, I want you to always think of things as solid, closed shapes. Even all of these things that just appear to be lines butted up together, I want you to think of them as shapes. And when you do the exercise, you need to think of them as shapes, okay? Now, the reason for that is because if I just took the lines, like say a line tool, which I don't even try to cover in this class because we don't use it. And I just try to draw a table similar to this, like the tabletop. And then I went like, grabbed the line tool and went this way. Oops, went this way. I'll come at it this way so it doesn't keep moving it. Then I come at it this way. Okay. These are single lines. They're not one whole solid shape. The bad thing about that is that it looks like it's a solid shape, but when you try to fill it with color, you won't be able to. So say this one, it is a solid shape, it's closed. If I go in here and I apply a color to it, like a brown that I'm going to eventually be using, okay, and I hit OK, it fills it very easily with color. If I grab this line and I try to fill it with color, it's not going to do that. It's not going to change the color. All right, see, it didn't change it. Even if I grab all of them and I try to do it, it's not going to change them. They're not fillable. It's just a stroke. It's just a line. Only the color can be applied to the line. So that is why you have to think of things in shapes, because when it comes down to coloring them in, you're going to need to have them closed shapes. Okay? So you might be asking yourself, okay, why are these not filling in? They look like they're attached. But if you look carefully, I'm going to grab my white arrow and I'm just going to grab one of these corner points here. And you'll notice it's not attached. These are all single lines. So it's disattached there and it's unattached there also. Okay. So basically, if these are not actually closed, just because they're butted up together doesn't mean you can fill them with color. So you might ask yourself, okay, well then how do I connect these? So I'm going to go ahead and click off of it. You can just grab your pen tool, which is in here. Okay, the pen tool. Don't mistake it for that one. The pen tool. And you can go to the corner point and see that angled line right next to the pen tool. That means it's continuing. So you can click on it. And then you go to that other point that you want to connect it to, and you see that little circle shape that you see when you're on top of that point right next to the pen tool. That means that's your end point, and click on it. And that just connected that area. See how it's now starting to fill it with color? You can do the same with this to here, and you can do the same with these in here. And it's going to be kind of hard because they're right on top of each other, so you may need to move them a little. If you're connected and you can't uncontinue from that, you can just go to any other tool, select any other tool, and it'll get you off that pen tool. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. You'll notice that it almost looks like it's, because they're right butted up together, that it's working, but you could still connect these. Okay, so we go and we look for that angled line right next to the pen tool. That means it's continuing, and then that circle. And you can always remove any of these extra points. So if on my pen tool, you can also just click right over a point and you can remove it. Okay, so you can remove any of these extra points that you want, whatever's not working for you. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. Now I'm going to show you that one point that I talked about not caring whether things are overlapping or not, like they're done here and here. You can go ahead and just color this in with any color you want. And I'm going to go ahead and color this in with any color I want. I'm just going to choose a different color so you can see it. And I don't worry that this overlap is here, because eventually next week we're going to learn about layers and organizing all of these and how you're going to name all these paths and all these layers that are in here. But basically this shape here, this path here, you can rearrange it so that it's below this one. See how this little trigger mark just changed here? You could basically grab this and arrange it so it's beneath that shape, and that way it's hidden behind it. So it doesn't matter to me that I had initially drawn over. I can then arrange it. But we're going to learn more about that next week. So that's just a little preview. Okay? All right, this concludes your lesson. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me. If you notice you're having troubles, don't wait until the weekend. Make sure to contact me either during office hours or try to schedule an alternative time to meet during the week. All right? Good luck.